Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. It's been a while since we last chatted.
It has. It has been, but good to see you again. Very
Same
nice.
with you. Same with you. Back with a new epic album. Um,
Yes,
Coming out next Friday, your fifth, I believe.
that's
Um,
right.
Tell me how to pronounce the title because I know what it means. I know it means here be dragons, but I was like, I'm not even gonna attempt it because I'll butcher it.
Yeah, sure, sure. No, I mean it's Latin. As a German speaker, I think I would pronounce it Hic sunt Draconis. Not sure how like an actual Latin speaker would do it, or maybe an Italian would do it, but that's how I go about it. So Hic sunt Draconis, here be dragons. That's right.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. You've released three songs off of it so far, which I've gone through and listened to the album quite a few times, and
Mhm.
there's so much more for people to hear than those three songs. I was like, because there's two completely epic songs in this album, and neither one of them, and this is obviously just my opinion, but neither one of them have been ones that you have released yet. What made you choose the three that you guys did, or did you even get that choice?
Yeah, I mean, we had the choice. We discussed it, of course, with the label, and yeah, you're right that we actually chose those songs that are a little bit, or for the singles, three of those songs that are a bit more straightforward, a bit more like less complex. Maybe they don't have those like huge orchestrations and thing and stuff. So I think the reasoning behind that is that you want to nowadays, especially in today's metal scene, especially in today's power metal scene, you need to kind of immediately capture the audience, right? And there's certain listening habits that are prevalent right now, so you kind of want to get the most out of the attention you get through a single. And if you put the 8 minute 9 minute epic track out there, there's a good chance that a lot of those listeners might not go and stay with it until the end. So we were kind of wanted to go with those songs that can immediately grab the listener's attention, and also those songs that we for sure will be playing live in the future,
Oh, yeah.
because we also know that those songs really work well in the live environment. We tried them out already at a show, and yeah, they worked really well. And this is just something that works better live compared to like take the 9 minute epic orchestral track, which is something that's probably better suited for listening at home over a decent sound system, good headphones, and you can enjoy that. And I think your assessment is exactly right. Is that with the singles we've released, we've basically just been scratching the surface, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 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 absolutely. So the 8 or 9 minute track we're talking about is the self-titled one. The beginning of it, I just came back from Disneyland, so I don't know if the association is because I just was in that magical world, but the beginning of it totally sounds like you're gonna go into Disneyland and then it just becomes a whole other adventure.
Exactly. No, it was really intended to be that, to have like this like short orchestral atmospheric intro also, and then to go into this kind of music theater type of song that we've had in the past, like songs like Alcador on the first album, or even The Silent Sun on Shadowplay, and we've not really had that to this extent on the last album. So we really wanted to go for that again, and especially with this fantastic setting, with traveling to a in our concept story forgotten world where dragons or dinosaurs basically still exist, and then it's like this kind of like a little bit of flimsy, a little bit of fantasy. And I think that song, and this also the orchestration done by our orchestrator Lasse Elkier from Denmark, I think he did a really fantastic job on that one. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I always forget how incredible your guitar players are. And every time I listen, I'm just like, oh my gosh, those guys are absolutely incredible. There's some amazing solos all throughout the whole album. But it obviously in that song as well. Um,
This song and the long track has two of my favorite solos, and yeah, we actually do have like some new guys in the band. Like one of the is the guitar player, actually Matt. I mean, he already worked with us on Viribus Unitis, the previous album, but on this one he had even more input, and I think most of the solos on the record are from him. Especially those in the title track Hixon Draconis. Both of them were done by Matt. He really has a good feeling for the taste and for what kind of elements a solo for a specific song needs. So it's not just going to some technical scales, or like fingering techniques or whatever. That sounded wrong right now, but you know what I mean. And and yeah, and he just adds a lot to the overall sound of the
he
band,
does.
especially on this.
Yes, no, he does. And I agree. I mean, it's like it doesn't not fit. It's the added composition to the already orchestral parts that I can't imagine would be easy because there's so much complexity to all the compositions of the music. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Tell me about Dreamcatchers. That song is really cool. And who's the other
Dream
vocalist
Chasers, you
on
mean,
there?
right?
Oh, what did I say?
Dream Chasers, that's the
Sorry.
title. Yeah,
Yes, Chase.
yeah, yeah. No, it's the opening track, and yeah, it sets up the storyline for the album, which is set in the late 16th century. It's about the colonization of the North American continent by the British and the creation of the first British settlement, which was supposed to be in Roanoke Colony, and the second colony. That mysteriously vanished is got to be known as the Lost Colony, and Dream Chasers sets the scene for that because it's a song told from the perspective of Sir Walter Raleigh, who is receiving his charter to go to North America and found this colony by Queen Elizabeth I. So I'm basically singing the part of Sir Walter Raleigh here, famous British privateer, and basically aide and confidant of Queen Elizabeth. And the female vocals here, the part of Queen Elizabeth I, are performed by Ambre Bourvahis from Alexandria. And yeah, and I think that adds a nice wrinkle to the song, and I think it really is the prototypical power metal album opening track with lots of double bass, like lots of orchestra, and this. Okay, we're the spirit of we're gonna embark on an adventure right now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Now you do concepts on albums. And I believe the last time we talked, you were saying that it was your interpretation of some of the historical events, because obviously you add some fantastical things in there as well. Where like do you just like to research a lot? Do you just like history a lot? Where do these ideas come from?
A little bit of everything, and I think there's a lot of stuff, even in pop culture. For example, this Roanoke colony has been subject of a lot of recent media, like American Horror Stories, or also in horror video games, dark pictures, like this kind of times. So the you kind of get in touch with these things and think, oh, this is nice. You could do something with that, and then you try to put your own twist on it by adding these like fantastical, mythological, or whatever elements. And yeah, and somehow I wanted to do an album that would had just the title Hic sunt Draconis because it means here be dragons, which for a band called Dragony kind of makes sense. And ironically, ironically, this album cover artwork is the first one that actually has a dragon on it for a album. So we took our time with that. Um, so I really wanted to do that, and then you have this Hixum Draconis, this phrase which was used in medieval times to designate uncharted territories on sea maps. So naturally, you would want to do something with pirates or privateers in this case, which are basically licensed pirates. So that kind of fit into this setting with Roanoke, with Sir Walter Raleigh, and basically like the first, I would say, three songs are historically accurate of events that actually happened, up to including Ill Met by Moonlight, actually, which is also still part of the actual history as it supposedly happened. But then we add our little touch with this Jules Verne like twist where our colonists get spirited away to this land forgotten by time, where dinosaurs still exist and where they meet Viking tribes that had also sailed there 1,000 years before. And that's where it gets a little bit crazy. But the first four songs, I think, are actually the more historically accurate ones.
Okay, interesting. So did you do it in that um order for that reasoning, or did it just kind of happen that way?
Yeah, like the track list on the album is in order of the story. So if like one song would have had like different types of lyrics, or they would have been switched around, then we would have needed to switch the order of songs around. But I actually thought that the way it turned out with the order of the songs works really well as an album also. So it's not necessarily a detriment because it could have happened that too many similar songs would be right back to back or something. But I think it's like a good mix between the more orchestral epic ones and then the more straightforward synth heavy ones on the other side. So yeah, that kind of worked out really well, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Beyond the Rainbow Bridge, where are you guys at in that video? That's a beautiful location.
Yeah, this is a castle ruin that's about 40 minutes to drive outside of Vienna in Lower Austria. It's called Pottendorf, is the village, and it was the castle of Pottendorf. Not much of a castle; it's more like a very large mansion, you would say. But it has like a chapel attached. So the inside shots that you see are actually the chapel of that ruin, and then those like in the courtyard. That's kind of um, the broken ruin part of it, actually, where you see it has no roof anymore, and there's like trees growing in all the rooms, and it really has also this feel of like this uncharted, like if you know the uncharted games, of going to these ruins that have been abandoned for many centuries, and you kind of get that feeling there. And then we were able to do some drone shots of the performance because the place had no roof, so you could really uh, fly in from the top and capture the movement of the band inside. So that was really cool.
Was it difficult to book that location?
Not at all, actually. You
Oh,
can actually book this location, for example, for weddings and stuff like that.
oh,
So it was not very not very hard, thankfully.
oh, it seems like it would be like a historic place that just, people would pay to go and visit and stuff. So I was curious because it's a really cool location.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's like generally. I think generally it's not publicly accessible because of this like inner part being a little bit dangerous in terms of like stuff could fall down. So you have to book it, and a custodian has to be there to help you a little bit and watch the stuff. But in general, it's bookable. And the ruin inside the I mean the chapel of the ruin, that is actually has been renovated, and that is safe. So
Hey,
that's why you can
that's
do
good.
it.
That
Yeah.
would be, I don't know if I would be able to let go and be able to just like act out music and stuff if I was worried that the roof was going to cave in on me.
Well, it didn't have any roof anymore, so
Oh, even the chapel didn't. I thought you just
no, no,
meant the
the
outside
chapel does have a roof, but this
Oh, okay.
one they renovated that, so that's
Yes,
why
right,
the chapel
right.
is.
That's the safe one. Yeah, that would be nerve-wracking. You had mentioned Roanoke as part of some horror fable. Because
Mhm.
it's now October, I like to ask that question. Are you a horror fan, and what are your
Yes.
favorite horror TV shows, movies, books, whatever?
Oh, I think in recent years, me and my girlfriend both we really love all kinds of horror stuff. And in the recent years, I think we've become like huge fans of anything Mike Flanagan does.
Oh,
So
he's
whatever he does, he's
incredible.
because he gets it, because he does not go for the jump scare, this kind of like, let's say, cheap horror, the popcorn horror that you will see in the cinemas, which is frankly said boring, because that is not horror, that's just startling. If you have
Hmm.
like just silence, and then you have a loud noise and a bang, and that's supposed to be scary. It's not scary, it's startling. And that's what a lot of people don't get. That's not horror. Horror is more like on the psychological side, on the atmosphere side, and Mike Flanagan really loves that, and he does that better than anyone right now. It's him and Ari Aster for like Hereditary, Midsommar, those kind of movies. So that's like a little bit more on the, let's say, artsy,
Hmm.
independent movie feeling side. But for the more mainstream, I would go with Mike Flanagan, and I can't wait for him to hopefully do the Dark Tower and do it
Yes,
justice.
I think he's working on it right now. I'm a huge Flanagan fan too, and everything that he comes out with, I am. I didn't know Oculus is one of my favorite movies. I had no idea that he did that one.
He did a
And
lot of cool ones, yeah.
yeah, and then Doctor Sleep was what is one of my favorite Stephen King books, and I thought,
Yeah,
how is he going to mix the Shining book and the Shining movie, which are very different, not very different, but pretty different.
but
In
different.
with yeah, in with the Doctor Sleep story, and he did it so brilliantly. I am usually so disappointed in books to movies, and I could not have asked for anything better with that one.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a difficult challenge always, especially with Stephen King. There's so many like hit and miss adaptations. There's like some of the most terrible adaptations you'll ever see, and then there's some of the best you'll ever see. And it can be the original Shining, the Kubrick one. Then they had the Shining TV version in like I think the early '90s, which was more true to the book. But of course, if you don't have Jack Nicholson, it's like a little bit different.
For sure.
Yeah. So yeah, then you had the first Dark Tower movie, which was nice if it hadn't been a Dark Tower movie. Let's put it that way. I didn't mind Idris Elba or anything, but it was just too short. You can't pack that huge saga into a 90-minute movie. That was ridiculous. It's just sort of I see it more of like a movie inspired by the Dark Tower and not so much of a real adaptation. I think that makes sense for that. But yeah, Doctor Sleep was really nice. But yeah, we were huge fans of Haunting of Hill House and
Yeah.
Blind Manor. Midnight Mass was nice. So, and
Yeah,
now the Fall of House of Usher also
yeah.
great. So every yeah, no. The only one where I said okay, I was not really convinced was the Midnight Club. That
Oh,
could have been a bit better, and I think it also got canceled a bit prematurely, like after the first season, because I guess it just didn't resonate that well.
oh.
But everything else, so
That one was really sad too. I mean, I guess probably because
mm,
it dealt with sick kids, but that one
yeah, yeah.
made me sad.
The setting, the concept was nice, but somehow yeah, didn't fully realize how like its potential. I would say, yeah.
So is that something that you would ever think of doing in the future? Is like a straight horror concept of an album?
Yeah, I mean that would be interesting. I'm not sure if our blend of power metal really fits to
Yeah,
that because it's really
right.
upbeat and happy sounding. So that fits more with like kind of adventures and epic tales. Like I think the best horror themed music you'll find either in of course King Diamond's stuff with Abigail, etc. And one of my personal favorites, and and I know he's a bit of a problematic person these days, or he's always been problematic, but the album itself, Horror Show by Iced Earth, is probably my favorite horror themed album and a very underrated album because I think a lot of albums of theirs are held in high regard and this one is not so much, but I think it's one of the strongest works. And yeah, that's in terms of horror themed music, Horror Show by Iced Earth. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard it. I obviously have heard of Ice Earth and used to listen to them in the past, but I don't think I've
Because
ever heard that one.
every song on that album is like tells a story of like one famous horror creature.
Oh,
Or so it starts off with a song about werewolf, then you have Damien from The Omen, then you have like Dracula, then you have the uh, ghost of the Phantom of the Opera and stuff like that. So every song one different horror character, and it's really, yeah, really great album.
oh, that's interesting. That's cool. Something I don't know if I was asking back. This is like a total flip side of the coin, but I don't know if I asked you this back because I think I started asking it afterwards. But what are some things that you do, whether you're touring, because you guys obviously do have some pretty hefty tours that you do sometimes, and so whether you're on tour or whether you're at home, what are some things that you do for like self-care to take care of yourself to make sure you're mentally okay to perform every night? Because you guys have big performances.
Yeah, I mean, but we don't even tour that much compared to other bands. Like for example, our bass player Herb, he's still in Vision of Atlantis, where I used to sing as well for a couple of years, and they are touring a lot. Like they tour probably
Mhm.
4 or 5 months a year. So no, that's a schedule. That's insane.
Yeah.
I could not handle that. Because I'm also not, to be honest, not the biggest fan of touring. For me, it's like, yeah, I like to do it for maybe like 2, maybe 3 weeks at a time. But then it's good to come home and have my own like everyday regular routine.
Yeah.
Um, but in general, I do on tour what I do at home for relaxation, which is video games. So I will take my Nintendo Switch with me on tour, and that's kind of my favorite pastime on tour, as
What's
well
your
as it's at home.
what's your favorite Switch game?
Oh, so many. But I mean, if you're talking Switch, then I guess we'd talk the exclusives, and it would have to be the Legend of Zelda games, of
Mm,
course. Can't beat that.
yeah, yeah. That's the only gaming system I have, and I have one of the Zelda games. Is the second is not the one that just came out, but the one that came out before that. It's pretty fun. Um, but yeah, what can people expect from a live show with you guys? On the off chance that they might be able to catch you guys in the few times that you go.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, we'd just like to have a good time. I think because our specific blend of power metal, I think, is very good as sort of an escapism. It's supposed to take your mind off your regular life and regular problems for a couple of hours. The power metal shows, and yeah, we just like to have a party. People to sing along, and yeah, just have a good time with some epic power metal.
Yes, yes, yeah. Are you gonna do more than the three songs that you guys have released live? Do you know yet?
Yeah, so we for sure we'll have the singles in our live set. I think we'll also include Perfect Storm, which is in the same vein, but we'll probably also do the Einherja because it's a little bit different. It has those that folk elements and folk touch in it. And then let's see if any of the other songs will find its way into the live set. I would love to do the title track at some point, but I
Yeah,
think it's just going to be like reserved for, album release shows or some special occasions where we can play headline sets that is long enough. Because otherwise, if you do a 10 minute, like a 10-minute song, then that's
takes
half your
up so
set
much of
gone.
your time, right?
Yeah, so that's a
Right.
bit of a downside of that.
Perfect Storm is actually the other one that I had on my list to talk about. And I think the main reason is I really like Greek mythology, and I had you know, heard a few little Greek mythology words in there, obviously Poseidon.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, tell me a little bit about that one.
Yeah, so this the let's say Greek mythology references are basically not really like so much Greek
The
as
meat of the
in the
song.
terms that are associated with the god of the seas. So that's what
Mhm.
everybody knows: Poseidon, Trident, etc. So because we just want to say, okay, it's the wrath of Poseidon, basically like this crazy storm, mythical, magical, whatever storm, and this describes basically how the lost colony gets lost because they try to leave the island, but then this storm comes up and it takes them to this yeah, mythological land forgotten before time, by time, sorry. So that's kind of the idea behind Perfect Storm.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you so much again for taking this time with me. It's always a pleasure to chat with you. Congratulations on the upcoming release of the album. It's really
Thank you.
incredible. I'm super excited for everybody else to hear it so that way you can get all the good feedback because I can guarantee that's what you're going to get.
Hopefully so, but glad you liked it. Thank you so much for the
Yes,
interview.
yes, yes. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Oh, it was- oh, are you there?
Yeah, I think I just froze a little bit for a moment
What a
there.
what a funny time to freeze.
Yeah, at the end, right? Like, okay.
Awesome.
But
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
thank you so much for the interview, and glad that you enjoy the album. Let's see how it does.
I'm sure it's going to do fantastic. You guys just keep getting better and better and keep getting more and more recognition.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. We'll talk to you later.
Yes, absolutely. Have a great day. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye.